The Galactic Council chamber was a colossal dome of shimmering alien crystal, its walls refracting the faint glow of distant stars into shards of eerie light. Delegates from countless species, some towering, others tiny and many unfathomable, stood in silent judgment, their many eyes fixed on a single tragic scene unfolding at the center. A small human boy, no older than 10, knelt trembling on the polished floor. Tears streaked his dirt-smudged face as the alien executioner raised his disruptor. The room held its breath. Then, the weapon discharged, a cold, merciless blast that ended the boy's life in an instant. The child's brain matter splattered across the gleaming council floor, a brutal testament to the council's cruel resolve. The ice-cold executioner lowered his weapon, eyes void of remorse. For centuries, humanity had bowed to the Galactic Council's will. Explorers confined, diplomats ignored, voices silenced. But this act of merciless brutality was the last straw. Far above the blue planet Earth, orbiting in silent vigil, the HSS Indomitable hung in space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant sun. On the bridge, Captain Logan Carter stood rigid, fists clenched so tight his knuckles blanched white. The live feed from the council chamber was still playing. The Ithorian counselor, Xanth, a grotesque figure with mottled skin and reptilian eyes, sneered at the camera, his voice dripping with contempt. "Let this be a lesson to your primitive species. The Council hereby bans all human faster-than-light travel. You will remain confined to your home system." He waved a claw dismissively. Any further disobedience will be met with swift justice. Then came the boy's execution, the catalyst for a fury humanity had long buried beneath centuries of submission. Logan's voice cracked, barely more than a whisper. They killed a child. Commander Hawkins, standing beside him, gripped the railing tightly. His jaw was set, eyes burning with rage. "What are your orders, sir?" Logan's glare swept across his bridge crew, eyes aflame. "Signal the fleet. Power up the Nova cannons. Plot an FDL jump directly to the Council headquarters." He paused, voice low and deadly. "This is the moment we've prepared for. The day the Council reveals its true face. The day we make them pay." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, hidden from prying eyes, the earth itself seemed to groan. A massive stone wall cracked, then split apart with a grinding roar. Behind it, steel doors slid open to reveal a cavernous hangar, dimly lit, humming with dormant power. Rows upon rows of sleek warships gleamed under harsh floodlights, their hulls forged from a strange iridescent metal that shimmered like liquid glass. Captain Logan Carter marched down the concrete corridor, flanked by his most trusted officers. The air was thick with anticipation. He stopped before an immense blast door, its surface etched with countless battle scars. Placing his palm on the biometric scanner, he felt a pulse of recognition. The door ground open slowly, revealing the legendary Sigma fleet, humanity's last and deadliest secret. Commander Hawkins ran a hand along the prow of the nearest ship, eyes wide. "I thought the Sigma fleet was just a myth." Logan shook his head, a grim smile touching his lips. "It's real, built in secret during the earliest days of human space exploration, hidden for centuries as our ace in the hole." He turned to his officers, voice steady and commanding. "The Council thinks they can cage us, restrict us to Earth, but they've never seen what we're truly capable of." The ships were sleek, angular predators, weapons of war designed to shatter empires. "With the Sigma fleet," Logan declared, "we'll make the Council pay for every injustice, every life they've crushed." The officers exchanged determined glances, the weight of the moment sinking in. Logan's voice rang out across the hangar, cold and resolute. "Gentlemen, humanity bows to no one. Today, we bring the fight to the Council's doorstep, thousands of light years away, In a lavish chamber aboard the Council's flagship, Counselor Xanth lounged in decadent ease, sipping a glowing green liquor potent enough to strip paint off a starship hull. His many rings clinked as he received a hollow communication. His aide YIK's face appeared, pale and tense. "Counselor, sensors have detected a massive fleet entering our system at high velocity." Xanth waved a dismissive hand. "Send a patrol. They're probably just some upstart race seeking attention." YIK's voice trembled. The patrol was destroyed instantly. No visual on the attackers. Xanth's leisurely veneer shattered. Panic crept into his heart as he studied. The Terran fleet moved like phantoms through the void, graceful and deadly beyond imagination. Their formations were flawless, every maneuver executed with the precision of a masterfully choreographed dance. The Eoran Council ships, despite their numbers, could barely keep pace. Their shields, once considered impenetrable, flickered and died beneath plasma blasts that sliced through like paper. Missiles streaked across the blackness, moving faster than the eye could follow, their deadly trajectories unerring. And then there was the strange energy weapon, a directed beam that carved ships apart with surgical accuracy, leaving no chance for escape. But the worst horror for Xanth was the symbol emblazoned on the prows of the human ships, the emblem of the Terran Dominion. Whispers of the Terran Dominion had haunted the galaxy for centuries, spoken of in hushed tones, dismissed by many as myth. But now, the legends were real, and they bore down upon the Council fleet with terrifying might. Xanth stumbled back from the holomap, his heart's pounding a panicked rhythm. The boy's death, his order, was the spark that ignited this unstoppable inferno. He had gravely miscalculated. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain Logan Carter's eyes burned with cold determination as he locked onto the panicked face of Counselor Xanth, transmitted through the view screen. "Justice," Logan said, his voice low and commanding. "The Council will rescind its ban on human FTL travel immediately. You will recognize our right to expand, to explore as we see fit. Any further aggression against humanity will be met with swift, devastating retaliation." Xanth's nostrils flared, pride clashing with the rising tide of fear. "The Council will never bow to one species. You cannot dictate terms to the entire galaxy." He nodded to his tactical officer, Samir, who brought up a live feed showing the burning wreckage of an Ithorian battlecruiser, a deadly symbol of the conflict's swift escalation. Swarming out of the Sigma fleet's hangar bays, agile human fighters darted like angry hornets, weaving through enemy fire with unmatched speed and grace. Beams of searing blue-white energy sliced through shields and hulls alike, missiles corkscrewed through space to explode with precise devastation. The Eoran fleet's return fire was sporadic and confused, their targeting systems baffled by the strange iridescent alloy shielding the human fighters. Within minutes, a third of the Eoran fleet lay crippled, drifting wreckage in the cold void. Their formation shattered, their commanders desperate and shouting contradictory orders. It was a rout. The Sigma fleet remained poised, weapons primed but silent, confident that their fighter screen was enough to hold back the overwhelmed Council forces. Logan's voice was steady as he faced Xanth again. "I won't ask twice. Yield, and let this end here." Xanth slumped in defeat, his pride broken. The Council had underestimated humanity, and now they paid the price. With trembling fingers, Xanth severed the transmission, leaving his crew staring at blank screens. On the Indomitable, Logan ordered, "Signal the fleet. Weapons tight. Give them a chance to surrender." For a long moment, silence filled the bridge, thick with tension. Then slowly, the red icons on the tactical display, the Eoran ships, began powering down weapons and drives. One by one, the Council forces were surrendering. Cheers erupted among the human crew, but Logan remained unmoved. This was only the beginning. Across the Council flagship, Xanth's eyes darted wildly. The human ships had vanished from sensors as if they'd never existed. Invisible predators lurking in the void. Surround them, box them in, destroy them. The Eoran fleet scrambled into formation, but their massive ships were no match for the nimble Sigma vessels. Logan leaned back, a smile playing at his lips. They want to play the superior species? Let's show them what humanity is capable of. Helm. Plot course for Coryx Nebula. Max burn. Inside the swirling purple-blue gases of the Coryx Nebula. Once a proud warrior culture, now enslaved by the Council. Hope flickered anew. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the nebula's edge, revealing a network of Council mining outposts, each crawling with armed overseers. Logan's voice cut through the tension. All ships, disengage cloak. The human and Vorian vessels shimmered into view, their sudden appearance sending the Council guards into panic and retreat. Logan opened a channel to the largest outpost, where a scarred Vorian leader appeared, suspicion etched into every scale. I am Captain Logan Carter of Earth. We offer you a chance to break your chains, to fight your oppressors and take your vengeance. The Vorian was skeptical. Why trust you? Your species are newcomers. What can you do for us? Logan played the recording of the Council defeat, the decisive rout of the Eoran Armada. The Vorian's eyes widened, disbelief turning to fierce hunger. You've shown your strength, Earther. What do you want? An alliance, Logan said firmly. Together, we will shatter the Council's grip. Not just for humanity, but for all who suffer. The Vorian laughed, a guttural promise of blood and vengeance. You have a deal. The combined Terran and Vorian fleets surged out of hyperspace, facing down the Council's core defense. Klaxons wailed as the Council mustered its might, a wall of warships defending their power center. Logan's gaze was sharp. They've pulled their strength here. Samir frowned. Even with the Vorians, we're outmatched in firepower. Logan nodded grimly, which is why we won't fight head-on. The fleet swung wide, circling the system's edge toward a massive space station bristling with sensors and communication arrays. That station controls their comms and surveillance. Logan explained. Knock it out, and we blind them. The Council fleet accelerated to intercept, but before they reached firing range, the human ships fractured into dozens of mirror images, confusing enemy sensors. The station erupted into chaos as the Council warships struggled to target real ships. The true human fleet struck with precision, overwhelming the station's defenses. Sparks geysered from shattered consoles aboard the Eoran flagship as the deck pitched wildly beneath Xanth's feet. Around him, the Council armada was being torn apart. Fireballs and shrapnel bloomed from a dozen capital ships, their hulls buckling like paper under the relentless barrage. Xanth staggered to the viewport, heart pounding in terror as he watched his fleet crumble, piece by piece. The invisible Terran projectiles struck with unerring precision, their advanced weaponry annihilating shields and tearing through armor. On the Indomitable, Captain Logan Carter watched the carnage with grim satisfaction. Let them taste the fear they so often dealt out, he murmured, voice cold as steel. The barrage ceased as suddenly as it began, leaving the shattered Eoran fleet floating helplessly in the void. Logan stared at Xanth's pale, trembling face on the view screen. Look upon your fleet, he said, voice steady but filled with unyielding fury. See how your power is exposed as nothing more than a brittle facade, just like you held the life of that innocent child in your hands." He leaned forward, his eyes blazing. "I hold the fate of your entire species now. I want you to feel the fear, to know how close you stand to annihilation, how easy it would be to give the order and consign your kind to oblivion." A cold, merciless smile crept across Logan's face. "But I won't. Not yet. I spare you for one purpose only, to be a messenger. You will return to your council and tell them what happened here today. Make them understand the age of their dominion is over. Humanity will claim its rightful place among the stars, and those who stand against us will be ground to dust, cast into the stellar winds." He raised a hand in a mock benediction. "Go now, Xanth. Run back to your masters with your tail between your legs. Pray that next time I am merciful for your sake and for your entire race." The transmission cut. Xanth stared at the blank screen, the bitter taste of defeat thick in his mouth. Logan turned away from the view screen, facing his officers. "This is only the beginning." Samir spoke up, fingers flying over his console. "If the Council unites the other species against us, even the Sigma fleet could be outmatched." "We have the tech advantage," Logan replied, "but they have the numbers. We need to level the playing field." "Helm, plot a course for the Coryx Nebula. Max burn." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but moved swiftly to obey. The Indomitable and its fleet leapt into hyperspace, stars blurring into streaks as they raced toward the swirling nebula. In the briefing room, Logan laid out the plan. "The Coryx Nebula is Vorian territory," he explained. "Once a proud warrior culture, conquered and enslaved by the Council centuries ago. Our intel suggests they're ripe for rebellion. If we can forge an alliance with them, we'll gain the manpower we need to challenge the Council's overwhelming numbers." The fleet emerged at the nebula's edge, swirling gases casting eerie purple and blue shadows across the view screens. Sensors pinged with contacts, a network of Vorian mining outposts, heavily guarded by Council overseers. Logan's lips curled into a predator's smile. "All ships, disengage cloak." The fleet shimmered into view, gleaming warships, suddenly present where moments before there had been nothing. Council ships scrambled in panic, engines flaring as they fled. Logan hailed the largest outpost. A grizzled Vorian appeared on screen, battle scars marking his scales. He eyed Logan with suspicion. "Why should we trust you? Humans are newcomers. What can you offer us?" Logan didn't hesitate. He played the recording of the confrontation with Xanth, the crushing defeat of the Eoran Armada. The Vorian's eyes widened, disbelief melting into fierce hunger. "You've shown your strength. What do you want?" "An alliance," Logan said firmly. "Together, we will shatter the Council's grip, not just for humanity, but for all enslaved species." The Vorian laughed, a guttural sound full of bloodlust and promise. "You have a deal." The combined Terran-Vorian fleet surged out of hyperspace, closing on the Council's home system, the core of their galactic dominion. Warning sirens blared as the Council summoned their forces, a massive wall of warships forming around their capital planet. Logan studied the massed fleet with cold eyes. "They've pulled their strength here," he said. Samir frowned. "Even with the Vorians, we're still outgunned." Logan nodded, "Which is why we won't engage head-on." Instead, the fleet swung wide in a broad arc, skirting the system's edge. Their target, a sprawling space station bristling with sensors and communication arrays, the Council's primary nerve center. "Knock it out, and we blind them," Logan explained. As the Council fleet raced to intercept, the human ships shattered into dozens of illusory duplicates, overwhelming enemy sensors with false targets. The Council vessels faltered, struggling to lock on as confusion spread like wildfire. By the time they realized the truth, the real Terran fleet was already on them. The void exploded into chaos. Energy beams lit the darkness. Missiles streaked through the blackness, and explosions blossomed like deadly flowers. Council ships fought fiercely but were outclassed by superior technology and the ferocity of the Vorians. "We knock that station out. We blind them and sow chaos in their coordination," Logan ordered. The fleet closed in on the massive space station, its towering sensor arrays and communication dishes gleaming ominously in the void. Council warships, guarding the station, accelerated to intercept. Just before entering firing range, the human vessels shimmered and multiplied, each ship fracturing into a dozen mirror images, an intricate dance of sensor phantoms. Confusion rippled through the Council fleet as their scanners were flooded with false readings. Their formations wavered. Panic flickered across command bridges. By the time they realized what had happened, the real human ships cloaked in stealth were already on them. The void erupted in a brutal melee. Council warships fought valiantly, but were outmatched by human technology and the savage determination of their Vorian allies. Within minutes, the station's defenses were overwhelmed. A devastating fusillade of human quantum torpedoes tore through its hull, reducing the once mighty construct to a cloud of burning debris. Across the system, Council ships reeled, their communications severed. The vital network linking their forces dissolved into static white noise. Amidst the chaos, human and Vorian vessels struck key targets with surgical precision. Shipyards, weapons emplacements, supply depots, all reduced to smoldering ruin. On the Indomitable, Logan watched the Council's tight defensive formation begin to fray. Their ships struggled to react to the multi-pronged assault flaring up across the system. Phase 1 accomplished, Logan announced. Commence Phase 2. The fleet regrouped and surged forward, not skirting the Council armada, but driving headlong into its heart, weapons blazing. Logan opened a comm channel to the Council flagship. "This is Captain Logan Carter of the Earth Sigma Fleet," he declared. "Your communications are severed, your defenses buckling, your fleet in chaos. Surrender now, and your lives will be spared." A long silence hung. Then, a familiar, defiant face filled the screen. Counselor Xanth, spite etched in every line. "We will never yield to you, human scum," he spat. "We will fight to the last ship, the last warrior, the last breath." Logan regarded him coldly. "So be it." He cut the channel and turned to his crew. "Signal all ships, no mercy. Let's end this." Human and Vorian ships plunged into the Council fleet. The void ignited with blazing energy beams and screaming missiles. The Indomitable shuddered under relentless bombardment. Shields flared wildly. A human destroyer erupted into a ball of plasma. A Vorian cruiser, trailing smoke and fire, rammed a Council frigate in a desperate, violent embrace. Both vanished in a flash of mutual destruction. "Concentrate fire on their command ships." Logan barked. "We cut off the head. The body dies." The human fleet shifted formation, the Indomitable at the spear's tip. They bore down on the Council leadership vessels. Alien ships swarmed to protect their commanders, pouring fire into the human advance. The Council battleship loomed before the Indomitable. Grav cannons hammered its shields. Inside the Indomitable, consoles sparked and exploded. Logan grit his teeth. Divert power to forward shields and weapons. "Samir, find a weak point." Samir's fingers danced over the console. There, fluctuation in their AR shield grid. Coordinates, Gamma 615. The Indomitable swung hard to starboard, aiming its prow at the battleship's stern. A heartbeat later, weapons erupted. A searing lance of energy slammed into the weak point. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then the Council vessel bulged and cracked. Secondary explosions chained through its interior. With a silent, deadly roar, it shattered. Through the debris, Logan spotted the Council flagship, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapons. Xanth's ship, the seat of their power and arrogance. Logan leaned forward, eyes narrowing. All ships, converge on the flagship. Cut the head off the snake. Human and Vorian ships surged into the Council armada. Weapons flared, beams and missiles tore through space. The Council returned fire but were overwhelmed by advanced tech and raw ferocity. At the chaos's heart, the Indomitable and the flagship clashed. Energy lances crackled, chewing through armor and plating. The Indomitable shuddered as consoles exploded. Logan gripped his chair. The dreadnought's massive particle beam cannon unleashed fury. Shields flared and then collapsed. The beam slammed into the bow, vaporizing decks, leaving devastation. The bridge erupted into chaos. Panels exploded, flames and shrapnel flew. Crewmen were thrown from their stations. Logan pulled himself upright, blood dripping from a forehead wound. Damage reports flooded in. Hull breaches, disabled weapons, crippled engines. The dreadnought pressed its attack, hammering the Indomitable with salvo after salvo. Logan watched helplessly as his ship burned and shuddered. His vengeance seemed slipping away. Then, salvation. A squadron of Vorian cruisers broke formation and charged the dreadnought, guns blazing. The Council ship, caught off guard and already weakened, saw its defenses crumble. The Vorians swarmed it like enraged wasps. Explosions dotted the hull. They targeted weapons and engines with ruthless precision. Minutes later, the dreadnought was a shattered hulk, drifting lifeless. A ragged cheer rose on the Indomitable's battered bridge. Logan sagged back in his chair, exhausted, bloody, alive. He surveyed the battlefield. The Council fleet was shattered and in retreat. Cease fire, Logan ordered wearily. Commence rescue and recovery. Someone bring me a damage assessment. He closed his eyes briefly. We've carried the day, but this war is far from over. In the aftermath, the Indomitable drifted, scarred and battered. Damage control teams raced through corridors, sealing breaches, rerouting power. On the bridge, Logan conferred with his chief engineer, already planning their next move. The stars were silent once more, but the echoes of war still rippled across the galaxy. From the wreckage of the Council's pride rose a new order, not of conquest, but of clarity. The message had been delivered in fire and fury. Humanity would no longer kneel. They had endured, prepared, and when the time came, they struck with purpose and precision. The Sigma fleet was no longer a myth. It was a warning, a reminder that no matter how tightly a regime grips power, the will of the oppressed can never be fully extinguished. And in the shattered remains of the Council's arrogance, other species began to stir. Whispers of rebellion, sparks of hope igniting across worlds long chained by fear. Captain Logan Carter, bloodied but unbroken, knew this victory was not the end. It was the first battle in a larger war. A war not just for survival, but for liberation, because freedom, once awakened, is a force no empire can hold back. And as humanity carved its rightful place among the stars, one truth blazed brighter than any sun. The age of submission was over. The age of humanity had just begun.